Hi guys, welcome back to part 3 of the algebraic fraction series, and this tutorial will be the advanced part of the series. So this is where it really is more of the big marks now. This is kind of the questions where these will come at the end of the paper. So what I would say first is again, if you're not quite sure on how to do this, go back and watch the beginner video and the intermediate video first, and I'll put the link on the top right hand corner of your screen. Go check that out first and then understand that, and then do the questions at the end of the video as well, so that you get more practice, and then come back to this one, because this one is going to be a lot of working out, but it's not, again, I know I keep saying it's not hard, but it's just you're going to have to do it step by step, and this is going to require pretty much the beginner and the intermediate knowledge for you to be able to do this. Okay, so let's get straight to the question. The question here is asking us solve the following: 3 over x minus 5 minus 2 over x minus 2 equals 1 over 3. Now, if you remember from the beginner video, the part 1 video, you remember when we had something like this. Forget about the equals 1/3, when we had something like this and then we had to simplify, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to simplify this bit of the equation, and we're going to keep 1/3 to the other side. It's fine. We're not going to do anything with that yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first find my lowest common multiple here. What is my lowest common multiple between x minus 5 and x minus 2? So my lowest common multiple is going to be just both of them together. So x minus 5 and x minus 2. And then what we're going to do is basically we're going to do part 1 of the video. This method here, which is in part 1, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to simplify this bit. So for me to get this side of the this side, I'm going to do 3 times x minus 2. So I'm going to cross multiply 3 times x minus 2. And then for me to get this part of the equation, I'm going to do cross multiply 2 by x minus 5. So 2 by x minus 5. Okay, and then we keep the equals, so we're going to say equals 1 over 3. So we keep that equals 1 over 3. You'll see what happens to the 1 over 3 later. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to expand this and simplify. So 3 times x is 3x, 3 times minus 2 is minus 6, and then be careful here, minus 2 times x is minus 2x, and then minus 2 times minus 5 is plus 10. Okay, and then over, now you can expand this if you want now, or you can expand it later, but we're just going to expand this as well. So x times x is x squared, and then x times minus 2 is minus 2x, and then minus 5 times x is minus 5x, and then minus 5 times minus 2 is plus 10. And keep again the third equals 1 over 3. Now we're going to simplify this. 3x minus 2x is x, and then minus 6 plus 10 is plus 4 over, now x squared, we're going to simplify the bottom one as well. There's only one x squared. Okay, and then we're going to do minus 2x minus 5x, which is going to be minus 7x, and then plus 10 is equals to 1 over 3. Now what you can see here is we've simplified this, right? So we have x plus 4 here, and then this quadratic here, and then we have 1/3. Now this is where the 1/3 is going to come into play. And now, because remember the question saying solve, right, which means we need to find the value of x. So I don't know if you've seen something like this before in certain topics, when you have an expression like this, what you have to do. But whenever you see something like this, all you're going to do is cross multiply. And that's in part 2, isn't it? I think this is in part 2 of the algebraic series, when we had some of an expression like this where we cross multiply. So yes, this is in part 2. So again, this is why I would say I would recommend to go and watch part 1 and part 2 first before getting into this, or else you won't be able to understand what's happening. So this is in part 2. This section here is in part 2, what we're about to do. So we're going to cross multiply. So we're going to do 1 times all of this, right? So this is going to be, if we're going to do 1 times all of that, anything times 1 is going to be the same, right? So we're going to have x squared minus 7x plus 10, and then we're going to have equals, we're going to cross multiply now the 3 by x plus 4, right? We're going to cross multiply that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 bracket x plus 4. Now we can keep the x squared minus 7x plus 10 here. And then if we expand this bit, 3 times x is 3x, and then 3 times 4 is 12. Bring everything to the left hand side, because you can see now you're getting a quadratic. So we're going to bring everything to one side. So x squared minus 7x minus 10, not minus 10, plus 10. Bring the 3x to the other side, becomes minus 3x. Bring the 12 to the other side, becomes minus 12, and that is equals to 0. Now simplify this. So keep x squared here. Minus 7x minus 3x is minus 10x. We're simplifying. And then 10 minus 12 is minus 2 equals 0. Now what you can see is you have a quadratic. And because we want to solve the equation, we need to find the value of x. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write it here. So if I rewrite this equation now, x squared minus 10x plus 2, we need to solve for x, which means with this different ways we can go about this. We can see if it's factorizable first. In this case, it's not factorizable. So now you have a choice. You can either use the quadratic formula, okay? And again, this is absolutely your choice. There's no right or wrong here. You can use a quadratic formula, or you can use completing the square. This is if it's not factorizable. Even if it's factorizable, you can still use these, but okay, it's really your choice. The reason why I say factorizable is more ideal is because it's like 3 lines, that's all. And with quadratic and completing the square, it's a bit more working out. But again, it's absolutely your choice, whatever you feel is easiest for you. So these are the two methods that we're going to use for this one, because we can't factorize. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to complete the square, because it's a very simple number and it's actually a divisible number, so it's actually quite simple. So to complete the square, let me write this in actually in different color, because it'll make it more sense. So we're going to have x squared minus 10x minus 2 is equals to 0. Okay, so to complete the square, what we're going to do, again, if you're not sure how to complete the square, I'll put the link on the top right hand corner of your screen as well for the completing the square video tutorial, so do go check that out as well. There is a basic one and there is a more advanced one as well, so if you're still a bit unsure on how to do it. Now to complete the square here, what I'm going to do is first x squared becomes just x. I'm going to halve this number 10, which just becomes 5. And then now all of this is you're going to square it. Okay, so the x goes. Now this minus 2, you bring it here. And then we're going to have minus the square of the number that you've just halved. So this number we're going to square. So what's 5 squared? 25. And is equals to 0. So again, let me repeat. When you completing the square, x squared becomes x. You halve this number, so 10 divided by 2 is 5. And all of this becomes squared. You bring minus 2 down. Minus, it's always minus, regardless of the sign. You do minus the square of this number, which is 25. And now, keep x minus 5, whole thing squared. Minus 2 minus 25 is minus 27, equals 0. Because we want to find x, remember, bring the minus 27 to the other side, so that becomes plus 27. And now we need to get rid of this square. So to get rid of this square, you do the opposite. So you square root 27. But you have to make sure that you have a plus and minus whenever you square root. And then the final step is you take minus 5 to the other side. So that would be 5 plus and minus square root 27. So you're going to have two answers here, right? Your first answer is going to be x is equals to 5 plus square root 27. So you put that in your calculator, so 5 plus square root 27, and you will get an answer. So say, okay, so we'll say for three significant figures. So this will be then 10.2. Okay, that's one answer. And then the other one is x is equals to 5 minus square root 27. So if you do 5 minus square root 27 in your calculator, that should give you minus 0.196 to, again, 3SF. Okay, and that is how you get the answer for this equation, or question should I say. Now again, you can use quadratic formula if you want. Like I said, it's the same thing. You still get the same answer. This is just my preference. It doesn't matter which one you use. So if you feel like if you use the quadratic formula and you got the same answer, perfect. It's the same thing, and there's nothing wrong there. So that's absolutely fine. But I would still say no completing the square, because there will be in the exam questions, they will ask you, even if it's not for this question, they'll ask you solve this equation using completing the square, or so you need to know that method anyway. So either way, you gotta have to know both methods. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll give you a question for you guys to try out. Pause the video, have a go, and then play the video back, and then see if you got it right or wrong.